Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Designing Dreams in the Haas. I'm Tyler Schwartzmiller, your host, owner and principal designer of Haas Studio and now Haas & Home, where all your interior designer needs can be met. Joining me today is Brooke from Mid-West Quartz, Cambria.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So I always love to kind of start this conversation of how'd you get in the industry? What's your background?
You really want the long, boring story? No.
How about the fast, interesting story? Okay. Can we do that one?
None of it's interesting at all. I went to college actually to be a nurse.
Okay.
So
good to know.
Not even close.
Yeah.
And that would not have worked out.
Did you get into like your residency and everything?
I did internships.
Okay. All right.
When I went to Otterbein
Yep.
and did the whole hospital thing, trauma room thing. And
Yep.
I'm like, quickly.
No bueno.
No, thank you. No, thank you. So long and short of it, changed my degree, went into
Yep.
business marketing and graduated. And my first real job was working for a home builder.
Okay.
And went through that for a couple years, worked in the sales center. And then through that, I met someone who knew the owner of another granite company.
Yep.
And this particular builder was closing. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like 23 years old. What am I going to do? I need a job. And they're like, well, let me introduce you to this a friend of mine. And started in the granite industry and worked my way through it and worked my way up and worked with them for 7 years. Went over to another granite company for about 8 years and then went to Midwest. And here we are. Yeah. So it's been a long time.
Yeah. So you've been hucking a lot of stone for a long time.
Almost 18 years.
Okay.
Long time.
Always been in like the customer service kind of role, or were you like in the sales kind of at some points?
When I first started, it was account management.
Yeah.
So same thing, customer service. I didn't really work in the front with customers. I was more in the back end doing the estimating and things like that. So then did the account management, moved up to sales manager, and then my role now with running Midwest.
Yeah, just running the whole thing.
Just running the whole damn thing.
Dealing with people all day
all
long.
Day.
All
my
day.
It's my favorite thing.
Oh, yeah, people. It's fun. So now your role now is more just kind of managing people. I know you deal obviously with us, but you're not really dealing with a whole lot of customers day to day.
Believe it or not, I do. I have a lot of different hats, which is great, and I love to be busy. The last thing I ever want to do is be bored. It drives me insane.
Same.
So I do account management still, which as you know, I do work with retail customers that come in the showroom. And then I do all the boring stuff, accounting stuff, and all that good stuff. Deal with any sort of customer issues that may arise. Staffing, vacation time off, all the little in-betweens.
Oh, yeah. No, every day I have all my hats in a line. I'm like, all right. And I don't even take one off. I just stack them on top of each other.
Yep. That's what I do. Multitasking.
It's like 27 dresses of hats. Like how many more hats can I wear today?
Yep. Agreed.
Sometimes it's just a big top hat, stovetop hat to cover all of them.
Yep.
Because I just want to cry some days.
Or just put a full mask on.
Put a mask on. Just a veil.
Yep.
A black veil.
Black veil.
Tyler died. I know one of my employees came to my office today. I was like, no, Tyler died. Leave a message after the beep. Beep. I was like, I'm done.
I get it.
I'm done.
I get it. I couldn't imagine being in your shoes. Doing what I do is enough.
Yeah.
Being a business owner, crazy. I couldn't imagine.
Well, and here's the thing. I never imagined it would be this. When I started, I was working in my den in my house, and I was like, it'll be fun. Let's try this. And now we have 22 employees.
It's amazing.
Multiple companies. So it's been a fun journey, and Cambria's been with us this entire way. I've always believed in the product, and it's funny enough, the place I worked for in Cincinnati that I got started in, the K&B industry. I started in their main office in Westerville, and then quickly got promoted to be one of their managers. Again, I don't know why people thought I could be a manager at 22, 23 years old, managing all these people. Here, we trust you. We think you're responsible. It's like, you haven't seen me on a Saturday. This is not alcohol, I promise. So after I moved down to their Florence location, they had a small warehouse in the back, and I went in the back, and I had no idea about a lot of this stuff. And I saw this Cambria tower. I was like, what's this? I'm like, oh, we don't sell that. It's too expensive.
Oh, okay.
And this would have been 2010, 2011, something like that.
Yeah.
And so I had no idea, and I believed them. And we were a fabricator at the time. So, of course it was cheaper because we were fabricating the stone in our own location. It probably was double or triple. And then when I came to Columbus, I went to J Company, and they had 2 towers there, and there was a different rep, and even though she lived really close, she didn't come in a whole lot, so I still didn't know really anything about Cambria. And then Nathan joined Cambria.
Okay.
And funny enough, I did Nathan's cabinets when he worked for his previous employer.
Yep.
So he knew me, I knew him. So as soon as he got hired by Cambria, he came in, he was like, you gotta start selling this stuff. This is what you're gonna sell. And I was all right. And I remember my first job was Lincolnshire.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Pretty.
yeah.
Oh,
pretty.
really?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for whoever I installed that in a very long time ago. It's still pretty, I'm sure.
Yes.
I don't think it's available anymore, is it? Is that one that's
that there's probably inventory left.
Yes, there's probably inventory left. Yes.
In case anyone wants any.
It's those speckly quartzes. And and that's the whole thing. It's like, Cambria started with that stuff and really grew.
And it can come back.
And
it probably will come back.
The funny thing is now with the matting and these new textures and stuff, like old colors are revamping and stuff.
And they look great. If you put it in the right application,
absolutely,
you're like, I look at it on a sample some days and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
And that's across the board with any surface.
Yes, yeah.
But then you see it in a magazine or you see it in someone's house and you're like, wow, I would have never thought.
I know Cambria has their magazine, and sometimes I open it, I'm like, okay, I wouldn't have done that, but it works really, really well. And some of these older designs, like Torquay is an old classic, but matte and in the right application,
absolutely
looks like $1 million still.
Someone was in yesterday looking at that.
Yeah.
Specifically came in for that.
For Torquay. Yeah. So it's been an interesting because we've been with Cambria again the whole time.
Yeah.
You've really been a great support for us, and we really appreciate that.
You.
And part of the reason we like Cambria so much is all the applications. And, it really can go on anything. Yeah. Brooke doesn't always like when we put it on everything. No. She'll call us like, hey, we're going to put it on the ceiling today. How does that sound?
No, thanks.
And she's like, that's Bill's issue.
Yeah. Let me make a phone call.
Let me make a phone call, and Bill's going to yell, and then we'll still do it because we want your money.
No, but you guys do awesome things. I mean, you really are outside of the box with a lot of the things that we see. Yeah. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah, and I'll take that to, there was a Cambria training in Columbus, and Nathan got the whole thing together and got this great speaker. And I won't say that. He got this speaker. The speaker himself was not the best, but he had this one word of advice, and I took this to heart. He was like, quit using Cambria as a countertop surface. Think of it as a wood surface. Anything you can do with a wood veneer, you can do with Cambria because you can cut it, you can put it back together, you can slice it, you can dice it. And from that was, in our first studio we built, we did the island that had the strip down the middle of it. And partially it was because we couldn't get it upstairs because we were on the second floor. But then partially it was like, why are we being so irritated by seams? Seams don't have to be bad things. Seams can be good things. Seams can actually be really interesting if you do them in the right way. And that was that lightning bolt moment. It was like, oh, you can be a hood. You can be a wine cellar. You can be a bathtub. You can be whatever your heart desires if you have enough money.
Exactly. And someone else can figure out how to make it.
Someone else can figure out how to make it. And I can email people at corporate like, here, figure out how to do this. I made a pretty picture. Now tell me how to do it. Right. So I think that's great because, there's so many layers of Cambria in terms of the help that we have. I mean, obviously there's you guys locally, and then we have, the fab shop, and then there's, people even a corporate design team, and having access to all of you guys. And, we were working on a project last year, or 2 years ago now, that was an insane amount of Cambria. And I know we had 2 or 3 phone calls on some things, and we're like, all right, so no one's ever done this, but we know we can do it. And I think that's the great part is there's always that, we'll figure it out. We have people in places that know things, so let's work through it and figure out the solution. So absolutely. That's always the fun part about that.
It's fun. And then seeing, not when you're in the stress of it and like, oh my gosh,
when it's fun.
How are we going to do this? But then you see it and you're like, it worked.
It worked.
And it was worth that
It was
headache.
worth those 7 Zoom calls and trying to figure it out, because there were times I'm sitting there just like biting my fingers off like, oh my God.
What did I do?
I hope I didn't mess this up, because if I mess this up, I'm going to go bankrupt on this one. Like, it's too expensive. Yeah. Fun of our industry. So what is like your favorite part of your job?
Honestly, my favorite part of the job is actually when I get to see the final product, which is not all the time. And that kind of stinks, because, you, especially with all these really great ideas that in different colors that you mix together and everything, it's exciting because you see it. I see it on a piece of paper,
right?
And I'm writing numbers down, and I'm like, oh, pretty, you know. But then when I see
a lot of money,
exactly. But then I see the Instagram posts on some of them afterwards, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Or I want that in my house,
right? Yeah,
you know. And I do that to my husband, my poor husband. I see things all the time, and our house is fairly new, and I'm always like, oh, I want to change that and do that and do that. But no, it is really just seeing all the different ideas because every company does something different. Everyone has their own niche, you know, and even retail customers have their own ideas. You come in and you're kind of like, are you sure about that?
I was going to say, I'm sure you have a lot of like people bringing in their oak cabinets. And I want to put this with Berkshire Brown, like something
or like sky, bright blue, and you're like, oh, okay. But then you see it, and you see it come to life, and you're like, wow, okay. And I think that's probably my favorite. And then obviously meeting, you know, people like you that are fun to work with. Yeah. You know, it makes the hard stuff enjoyable because there are a lot of customers that I've worked with for so many years that, you know, the conversation isn't always just, you know, robotic and in and out. Yeah. You know, you get to know the people and you start relationships, and that's really fun. So
yeah, it's honestly one of the funnest parts of my job is getting to meet the people and see how the kitchen started and then where we ended. We did this huge party for our customer a few weeks ago, and this is my third or fourth project with them. And we had all kinds of things. We had a DJ, we had bartenders, we had a chef, all these kind of things. And she gave a speech at the end. She's like, it's amazing how you like change the way our family operates and works together. And we're not heart surgeons, we're not curing cancer, but we do change how people live in their house. And it changes so much. And it's so gratifying. Yeah. And I loved the husband and wife were giving tours separately, and I just stood back and just kind of watched them, like grinning ear to ear.
So proud
of their house and what they have. And it made me so happy that I was able to be part of this. And I'm sure they get up every day. And she even said, she's like, I wake up and I can't believe this is my house.
And that's amazing. I mean, you spend so much time in your home.
So much time.
You have people coming in your home. I mean, it's a huge compliment. Yeah. And then hopefully from there, you meet more people.
And we usually do. And it's always fun. It's funny. Actually, one of my favorite things is I love going on vacation and coming home, and I have a whole house in Cambria. No way. And I walk in, I'm like, I missed my home. I love that feeling. I love my home. Yeah. And if we can do that for clients, it's so gratifying for them to love their home. Because we do spend, especially now with people working remotely and all that kind of stuff, we spend, I think, a lot more time at home. You don't, because you're constantly taking your daughter to places. And
but when I'm not there, I'm home. I'm home. Yeah. So, yes.
What is some advice you'd give to somebody who wants to get into this industry?
Well, I would say, and it's kind of twofold.
Yep.
It's how they say it's not what you know, but who you know. You do have to know what you're doing to get in the industry, but it is really who you know in the relationships. Yeah. This industry is crazy. Everyone has been somewhere and moved from this place to this place. You don't burn bridges.
No.
You know, and
you may catch them on fire a little bit, but you put it out.
Exactly. You nicely put it out.
Nicely. Maybe you cut the rope a little bit, just let it a little dangle, but.
But I mean, I would say, you know, when you do get in and find where you fit, you know, treat everyone with kindness. Yeah. And because one way or another, if you stay in it, you're going to cross paths with everybody. Yes. Because the person that was your rep yesterday is going to be the president of the company tomorrow. I mean, it's amazing how people just move all around. Yeah. And, you know one person, you probably know everybody in this whole market. And it's crazy because there's so many of us out there, but yet it's still really small. Exactly. And incestual. And people just bow. Weird. And weird. But good. Weird in a good way. Weird and good. Yeah. No. Yeah. And I guess that kind of leads to my next question. So being a woman in this kind of remodeling industry, do you ever feel intimidated? You know, do you ever feel like you have to like put off? Yeah, I know. I know you don't. But like put Brooke at 22 years old. 100%. Yeah. I mean, when I started, it's all men. It's all men. And everyone that I would say probably, well, now it's a little more balanced. But then, I mean, it was probably 90% of men who I was speaking to on the phone. Right. And when I first started and I was an account manager and you're dealing with project managers on a job site who don't care who you are, what you do, nothing. They want what they want when they want it. Yep. They don't speak to you very nicely. They don't, And it's scary, but I would tell you, learning from that, that definitely made me stronger. Yeah. And that probably made me a little harder. But you have to be.
We get these shells on us because the way we're spoken to, being a guy, but being gay, I got treated kind of similar. Like, you're stupid, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. But I grew up in construction. I probably knew more than a lot of these people on the job site. So, as soon as I was able to actually talk the talk and they knew I wasn't stupid, I got respect.
Exactly.
And it's hard because if you don't know the industry, how do you get that respect? And I think it's, learn your craft. Yeah. And I think hone your craft too. Be really knowledgeable. Be the person people go to for the answers.
Right. And own up to things. If you don't know the answer, that's okay.
Yeah.
You can say, you know what? Let me find out for you. And not like, oh my gosh, and like panic and like,
and
whatever.
Make something up. I always tell people, I'd rather have you go and check the answer and make sure it's right than just think you know it. It's totally okay. You don't have to know everything. I don't know everything. Right. I have to know cabinets and countertops and appliances. Just check on, let me know.
I learn something new every single day. I mean, I think that's great. I think everyone should.
Yeah. And keeps your brain fresh. And
exactly.
Some days I'm like, I thought I knew that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have been wrong for 35 years of my life.
I've caught myself that before. Oh, really? That's how you do that? That's okay.
Okay. All right. Check. I'll remember that.
Nobody call me and bust me out.
I will say though, that is a nice thing about this industry. I mean, almost a nice thing. Like, you learn from your mistakes though, and that mistake you make is right there, and you won't make it again.
Exactly.
Most likely.
Some things, but yeah. I mean, they're very expensive mistakes.
My very first job, the first mistake I made is that I didn't know oven cabinets came in different sizes. I had zero training. The company I worked for, they're like, here, you went to design school, you know things. No, yeah, I don't know things. And I was like, oh, I can order cabinets. I ordered cabinets, and they went to put the oven cabinet in, great, and then they put the oven in and it fell right through because it was a 27-inch oven in a 30-inch hole, and the oven fell right in. And I was like, oh my God, I ruined their Thanksgiving, and they hate me, and I'm a horrible person. And to this day, I wake up sometimes in the middle of the night thinking about that. Because this is what we do. We have these moments in our head that we find these are a massive occurrence in life, and to everybody else, it wasn't even a blip in their life.
Everyone's human. I mean, mistakes happen.
Yeah, and that's part of our process is having a conversation when we interview our clients, because we interview our clients just like they're interviewing us to make sure it's a good fit. Because I don't want to work with someone that is going to talk to me badly or be mean to me. So we want to make sure it's a good fit for all of us. We always say, something will go wrong, something is going to be broken, and you're going to be mad. And that's okay. But I want you to be able to pick up the phone and have a conversation and not yell at me, because we're both on the same team here. Right. We want the same thing at the end of the day. We want a beautiful result.
Yeah. And there's no show me a perfect construction project.
It doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. There are times you can't take a faucet out and put a new faucet in without an issue. Right. It's just this world, because you don't know what happened previously. And I always joke, I think new home builds is probably a lot easier, but I'm sure they all have their own things.
They do.
But remodels are just so vastly different because
you don't know what you're going to get into.
You have no idea what you're going to get into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's bust this wall down and
oh my God.
We need to replace everything behind the wall.
Yep, that's my whole life. So, what is your funniest or most humiliating story in the industry?
It's not so much in the countertop industry. It was more when I worked for the home builder. Let's backtrack. Okay. This was right out of college. Okay. We're young.
Yep, young.
And I worked in a model home, and I was out in Pataskala in the only model home on the street, brand new development. Nobody came out there ever. It was a Saturday. I was coming off a Friday night.
Oh yeah, riding high.
Went upstairs in the master bedroom. Took a nap. People came in. I luckily heard them coming up the stairs. I thought I heard a door.
Yeah.
And it was kind of one of those things like, is someone here? Maybe not. And then I heard keys and I heard walking, and I jumped out of the bed. The bed was, I wasn't under the covers. It was on top.
Taking a full-on nap.
The pillows are, I just kind of turn around, hurry up, and pretend I'm fixing
things,
everything.
Oh my God, welcome guys.
They knew. They had to have known. They had to have known. It's almost like drool. That's probably.
Yeah, I have a similar one. So when I was down in Cincinnati, I just got a promotion to be manager again. I get 22, 23, so stupid. And me and my husband was like, let's go out and celebrate. You just got this huge raise. Let's go out. So we went out, and it was like a Wednesday night. Okay. And we went hard.
Yeah, as you do in your 20s.
As you do in your 20s. And I think we slept at a friend's house, got up. I was like, if we, because we can stay at the bar another 45 minutes if we sleep at a friend's house up the street. So we did. And then got up at like, okay, if we get up at 7 a.m., I can get home. So we drive home. I'm in the shower and I'm like, all right, I'll get some vitamin D because that's going to do anything. Okay. In my mind, it was going to help me. I don't know. And some Advil because you always had that. Yep. And then, my coffee because it was Speedway coffee at the time because we were Po. And I'm driving to work and I pop them and I go to throw back the coffee and it hits my throat wrong. And I'm like, nope. So I'm driving down 71, window down, vomiting out the window. And it splashes back in on my pants. And I was like, oh my God, I'm first day as manager. Right. I am hungover as heck. I have vomit on my pants. There's vomit down the side of my car. Yeah. And I was like, okay, there's a Kohl's up the street. I'll run into Kohl's.
With vomit on you? They don't care. So it's Kohl's. It's Kohl's.
So I get in there, I find pants, I buy them, I go in the parking lot, just drop trout, put new pants on, get to work. I'm sitting there, I'm trying to work, but I feel like dog crap. Mm-hmm. And the owner walks in and she's like, you smell like a goddamn brewery. She was like, if this happens again, you will not have a job here any longer. And I was like, I'm so sorry. But this is your fault. You put me in the manager role at 23 years old.
You did all those things and you didn't want to put gum in or anything?
I don't know.
I think that's the one thing you missed. That's the one miss.
I think I got like 4 hours of sleep. Yeah. Like, because we lived north of the city and we were like downtown at a bar and it was rush hour traffic. It was just like, all this, and I was stupid.
You were young.
I was young.
It's allowed. That's you learn from your mistakes.
You learn from. Well, I don't learn from that one. I don't vomit on my pants anymore. I'll say that.
You make it out the window.
I make it out the window. I've learned how to make it out the window. So I have a fun AI game I like to play with people. Okay. So it's question answer. Okay. So I put questions into ChatGPT and then it spits out an answer, and we see what your answer is versus theirs. Okay. So when was Cambria founded?
I'm going to be fired tomorrow. Oh my gosh. 1994.
2000.
I'm like, well, maybe it started before it was public.
Well, I mean, they had the cows and stuff before. That's when they had the cheese.
That's
you were thinking of the cheese. Yep. You're totally fine. You're totally fine. What was Cambria's first quartz color they came out with?
Oh my gosh.
It's an ugly one.
Bellingham.
Cannonberry.
Oh.
I know.
Pretty.
I think I already gave the answer on this one. What was the Davis's family's business before?
Dairy farmers.
Dairy farmers. Ding, ding, ding. What does an average slab of Cambria weigh?
Oh, the weight? I don't know, but you're talking. I need calculators for this. It's 6 pounds a square foot or something like that.
Yeah, so 6 pounds a square foot. So about 1,000 pounds or 1,300. And, I didn't specify slab size, because we have
jumbo,
standard, super jumbo, coming soon, jumbo.
Yeah, or a sample. Sample slab. Sample slab. Which is about 15 pounds.
Yeah, I have coasters, so,
1 pound.
There we go. Well, thanks, Brooke, so much for coming on the show today. If you want to look at your camera and give it your little shout
out. That camera right there.
Yeah.
All right. You can find us on MidwestQuartz.com. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. We are at 4401 Lyman Drive, Suite B. And our phone number is 614-777-6123.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming in, Brooke.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys, for joining us. It's been another episode of Designing Dreams in the House. I'm Tyler Schwartzmiller.
Boxland Media. Think big.